This is Kvel versus Patches. All right. So neither guy wants to hand match, which is like, that's fine. It looks like actually, maybe I think I'm wrong about that. I think Kvel switched to hand matching when they rotated around each other. So I am a fan of that decision. That's something that you would do tactically, if you're confident in your left hand. It's pretty easy to get your left hand working in flow. You just take some time commitment, but they don't. It's not like you have to wrap around his shield, so it's not that difficult to get your left hand up the sniff. It looks like he switches to hand matching. I liked that attack. That was cool. It was like a double flat wrap around. Let's watch that again. That was kind of neat. It didn't pan out. But it's like... Yeah, he got like a safe hit. He got a safe hit on the sword. And then he looks like Kvel kind of backed away. So it didn't end up hitting him. But there's a lot to be said for like hitting something and then changing the angle a little bit and hitting them again. A lot of the times people will think like, okay, I blocked that, but if you adjust laterally a little bit, that can throw off their defensive system and their understanding of the geometry of the fight a little bit. So I think that that's something that's very powerful in Florentine to do. I think that was a good try. Okay, it looked like Kvel just burst in there and got him in the hip. So the optimization that I would have Kvel make is he's kind of just like, fuck it, I want to hit him with my left hand, that's fine. This sword's like not doing anything over here. I want his hand like right here. Let's see if I get this right. I want his hand like right here. And I want his sword here. Maybe a little bit higher. Oops, move that up a little bit. But if he went for that flat wrap to the hip, I think I would want to have this offhand over here, creating some coverage for this. And this is just a matter of like, do some pelling where you put the hand that you are not swinging with over top of the hand that you are swinging with to kind of create some defensive coverage. But it looked like he got this on timing and good footwork. So I think adding the little optimization of putting this hand over top would be a big boon.
Head tilt.
All right. So left hand desensitization there. It's like I'm going to hit you with my left outside. And he got it. I think that might have been a simul maybe, since it looks like they're lining up to fight another time. Inside. Yeah, Kvel got hit in the belly on that too. I liked Patch's approach here. Let's go back and watch that. So a little bit of twirling here. So we got two low quadrant shots down in this area here. So what that indicates to me, I think that should probably be done with this hand. It's okay to do that cross as a mix-up, especially since it's going to, like, if you do a rising chop, it'll put your hand high to kind of block off some crosses and things like that. But I think you don't want to do it as your base. I think what I'm seeing here is the confidence in this left hand is probably not there. Is that offhand defense? Oh, yeah, he does have it right there, too. Yeah. So he is doing this portion really well. That's a great call on that, Fitz. He's creating this offhand defense up here where it's like he can't cross and hit him. And I think that Kvell has been winning with his left hand so far. So this is smart placement too. Good noticing that. Thanks, Fitz. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see. I think we had too many of those right-handed crossing low chops, but I think the offhand placement looked good. That was also like a really active forward drive, which I think I like because I felt like Patches was being a little bit passive with his footwork in previous rounds, but it looked like he fixed that for this one. I think he didn't quite pan out in this one. Okay, this is too close. I think that you can see Kvell is kind of inching forward a little bit, and Patches is probably not retreating enough. So that indicates either to me that like Patches is going to try to counterattack really quickly, or Kvell will fake him out, right? So there's something to be said for like giving a person a specific range, especially when it's dangerous. With Florentine on Florentine, I'm of the opinion that you need to stay as far away from the other guys you possibly can. What you're trying to do theoretically is you're trying to get a momentary period of time where you're getting a 2-on-1 with one of their hands, right? So if I've got both of these sticks and I'm facing you, what you're looking to do, like right now you're kind of engaging with both of my hands, right? But if you kind of pivot around me to the side, right? This side. So if you turn this way and I have to kind of turn my body to face you, now you've got a 2-on-1 where both of your swords are going to be able to hit this hand. And this hand is kind of too far away to reach you without me turning really far and stepping forward, right? So you want to kind of just, you want to try to isolate one hand and attack it at the same time. I think what we're seeing here is these two guys are kind of like trying to do 2 swords on 2 swords. That's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just gang up on them and cheat instead, right? So you really want to not get too close, stay far away, and use as much lateral movement as you can to try to get that 2-on-1 situation. I think that's especially important for Patches in this situation because it seems like his offhand defense with his left hand is really good, but I feel like his offense with his right hand, his right hand is kind of providing like all of the offense, and his left hand is kind of creating all of the defense for him, or at least is kind of just creating defense. So I think that would be really important to add that lateral in. But see, we're kind of close here. Okay, pass it back up a little bit. Thanks for rating, Nettle. I appreciate it. All right, let's go back. So I think this was kind of like, if I saw this out of the corner of my eye correctly, it looked like they're kind of standing too close together, and Kvell just gets kind of sick of this and drives in. It's kind of closer, closer. Okay, I think that might have been a simul. Got some blade beats, hand matching. I like that he was doing blade beats with both hands. I think that's an important note for myself. I feel like I only really use those blade beats where he's like just hitting his sticks out of the way. I feel like I only do that with my dominant hands. I need to do that with my offhand too. That's definitely something for me to take home. Okay. if I was kind of confident with his offhand here. Got a good stab in there. Maybe telling him not to take it. I'm not sure what that communication was. But I think this is the other risk of kind of standing too close to your opponent. His stabs are so quick and hard to deal with. Give that man a Griffin. Yeah, definitely. Stabs are so quick in Florentine that like you want to make sure that they're not too easy for your opponent to land. And they can also kind of like if you try to sweep out to parry a stab, if you try to parry a stab and you're incorrect about it, right? Like if I'm going to parry it with my right hand over here and you sweep out like this, now this is kind of out of defensive play and I have to cover both sides and fight with just this hand, right? So not only do I want to not get stabbed in Florentine on Florentine, I want to try to make sure that I'm creating situations where stabbing is just like not really an option at all. So that's another reason that I would kind of emphasize the lateral movement and hanging back a little bit further away. All right. I think the other element, let's see if we can get a frame it's very telling of it. We kind of need catches from this side. Yeah, it's another stab. I think that was because we were too close. But I think what I'm seeing from Patches is he's kind of like very bent forward in this way too. And I feel like this, I have mixed feelings about a bent posture like this. It's really common in Golden Veil. And what they usually do with it up there is they're kind of trying to like lean over to try to get like a stab ready and try to make the target area smaller. But I'm of the opinion that it kind of restricts your movement options too much. And if you start bent over like this, right? Like when you bend over, it creates a little bit more reach for yourself, right? But the problem is if you're starting out with the biggest reach that you're capable of, your opponent immediately sees all of that reach. So I think that kind of you would usually take that forward posture like as a surprise all of a sudden to tell your opponent, I have much more reach than you thought that I did. But I think kind of starting with that, it locks you into some positions that I think are not favorable in a fighting style that requires this combination. Florentine requires a lot more lateral movement, a lot more forward and back. So having like a bent over posture, I think is a little bit more appropriate for something like single sword where reach is a bigger deal. But Florentine is like less about reach and more about positioning and getting temporary 2-on-1s against a single hand. So I might revisit that. I think we're kind of too close, so we got poked again, is basically what happened here. And I think this approach here by Patches, I don't know if this is intentional, but I feel like he's kind of trying to do two things at once here. And he's trying to like kind of threaten a stab from this direction. And he's also trying to threaten a chop from this direction at the same time. So I think the issue with this approach here, like this, I find this over the top threats up here are really good and would get your opponent to kind of guard high. And I think this one down here is trying to pull your guard low. But I feel like you kind of want your opponent to do one or the other. So I can't help but wonder if he's mostly focusing mentally on pumping and faking with this hand, and then this hand is kind of just like left behind, or maybe like a part of his balancing strategy or something like that. But I probably wouldn't do this way. I think what I would do is I would try to keep this hand, I would try to keep it up here as like on standby to guard, or I would threaten to pump this stab here and then take this sword and kind of lay it over top this way to try to cover the arm when you're trying to stab, but probably not both at the same time. The problem with both at the same time is I don't feel like you really know which one they're reacting to. And it's like too many branched trees to kind of go down. Like you're thinking, oh, is it like when you're trying to approach someone, you're thinking to yourself, oh, like, are they going to react to this? Or are they going to react to that? And I feel like having like if they do A, then I'll do B. But if they do B, I'll do C is too much. I think if I wanted to try to rush someone down like that, I would just keep it to, I think if they do A, I'll do B. I'm going to try to get them to do A. If they won't give me A, I'm going to back off. And I'm going to try to do B. And I'll see if I can do C after that. But I wouldn't look for A and B at the same time and try to track the whole binary tree the whole way down. Like I've done enough leak code where that's just not something that's going to work for me. We got sniped there. That was a good shot by Patches. I want to see what that shot was. Let's go back. Oh, yeah, that was like a reverse wrap to the inside, too. That was beautiful. Great accuracy. That probably hit him, like, right here or something like that. That was a great shot. All right, this is a hard way to kind of fight your way out of. I think one adjustment that I would make, one optimization I would make, I feel like this is very stacked heavily in Patch's favor right now, right? But I think that we're a little bit too committed to just using this sword. What I would probably do at this point is I would take this offhand sword and I would put it forward, because that's gives you kind of a hand matched scenario where this hand is facing this hand, and then our strong hand over here is kind of free to hit him wherever we want, right? So what we're looking for is to just tie him up with this left sword, like get a good blade beat, block off a location, get a good block, and then whack him with the hand that we're confident in. So like there are different purposes for having your left sword forward or your right sword forward. I think his right sword forward was fine for everything else, but I might think about using left sword forward for this situation specifically. I think stabbing for the reset was a good call there. I think that is a good tactic. All right. Okay, this starting position, is Telfair still in the chat? Yes. Telfair, I would like you to tell me what your confidence level is with Florentine, because one thing I'm seeing right here, so most people don't train it very much, because since most people don't train Florentine, you don't need to train it very much to win it. But what I'm seeing is this first stance. This doesn't look like any of your other stances, right? So your other stances, you had your feet a lot closer together, which I think you trained it very little. So your feet are super far apart here, right? You've got this much of a gap. And I feel like your lateral movement is so powerful that when you're spread this far out, I feel like that lateral movement that is making this is creating a lot of positive situations for you is not something that you can do here, right? And I feel like you're kind of extending your back forward to get like a little more range. Look at me, guy. Like, how much range do you freaking need, dude? You're like 6'5", right? So I think if you stood up a little straighter and narrowed up a little bit, like narrow your stance a little bit, straighten up a little bit, and play it a little bit more like a boxer, I think that would meld a little bit better with your unique strengths, where you're like a tall person who has very good lateral movement and very good footwork. So I think that might play a little bit better. And you've also got kind of like a goalpost guard here. Range greed. That's definitely the hashtag of the evening. You've got kind of a goalpost guard here. I would go back and maybe reference some of the guards that Cavell did, where he had like his left hand in front sometimes, his right hand in front sometimes. Like that looks really good. But this is kind of like, I feel like you're stacking the odds in your favor with your range and not using like those technical pieces just yet. We've only been watching for a second, but that's what that stance tells me. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I still look pretty good. Like you got your left hand in there. Yeah, like you led with your left hand. That's great. Yeah, you're getting your left hand in there, so I feel like the hard part of Florentine is over for you. I might just like look at that stance. Let's see if it continues to be an issue if you change a little bit. Because okay, we're back wide. Okay. And you can see how you're popping up out of this stance to adjust laterally a little bit. And then you're dropping back down into this stance. I think that you could kind of just stay a little bit more narrower and make that footwork kind of work for you a little bit and not be stuck low when people kind of close in on you. No, it still look good. Those are the optimizations I might make for Florentine versus Florentine. Like, it still look great. I feel like you're still at a huge advantage because you're a tall guy who uses our left hands. So those are just some micro optimizations that I would make, but that looked like very good kills. Yeah, great range, great wrap, great shot. All right, this is a little narrower. So I don't know if this fight went for you the way that you wanted it to. I didn't really see it, but I do see the footwork that I wanted to see, right? So like you're narrower, you're side to side. You have like multiple left to right lateral steps. Like that was perfect. I think if you reference this fight versus the previous fight, like this is the one where you're doing it very well. I think it's maybe not that like. I think you're kind of trying to make. My intuition is you're trying to make Florentine like a special stance, and I think that you should just use your sword and board stance. Like I think that you should just use that one. Ram with a long war. I was much more casing. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that makes sense to me from what we were seeing before. Well, I think what I saw from Ram was he was dealing with being outranged by getting like a very sudden rush. So I can see why you would want to exert a lot of pressure there. That's great strategizing. I think these were some situations where I went back too far. Where you need some offhand coverage here. Like you see how your sword is back here. But where we want it is if we could get your hand more like your hand is like forward. Oops, not caps lock. Right here. And then your sword is kind of like across here, or maybe more like. Get your hand like. Get your hand like back here, and then the sword is kind of like sloped across this way, or kind of sloped back this way, so that we don't have a situation where this sword can come down and just swat this forearm. So you want to try to take that time to practice the when you strike with one hand, you should be covering that hand with your other hand, because like he's not gonna be able to drive the whole way from back here and hit you in the hip. You will have, and if he tries to do that, you will have plenty of time to take this offhand and move it down a little bit, right? So you may as well like extend it and try to cover this forearm and give it like a little protective shell when you kind of chip away at it, especially in this like this long position. And this is something that's like super easy to fix. You just do some pelling. You just do some real basic pelling where you're like, I chop with this hand, I put this arm over. I chop with this hand, I put this arm over. Chop, 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 like that. And it just takes like a month to work out. All right, some stabbing. I'm not sure if that was a hit. I think with this particular person, I think the same advice goes for the fighter on the right, where you can see when he's kind of swinging with this hand, like this hand is like not even in the frame, right? And we see that a couple of times here. So keep watching. He's doing a lot of great work with his left hand, but his right hand is not supporting his left hand. So this position right here, when you do this, this is like that's Ram. Okay. This is like a fencer's lunge, and Ram is throwing his hands back to be a part of his like balancing system so that he can reach a little bit further. I think there's a couple of reasons that this happens. I think the first one is either stiff or weak quads. So you can see here that this leg is like pretty straight. It's got slight bend, but he's kind of landing on it right here. We want this leg to end up more like, it doesn't have to go the whole way down to 90, but it needs to be able to bend a little bit, right? And we need to get this back a little bit straighter. And you can lean somewhat, but if you have a leg that's pushed forward a little bit more, you no longer need this backhand as a part of your balancing system. So you can lunge forward like this with the correct. You can lunge forward so that your offhand is still creating coverage for you. So like I would want to see this sword. Let's put this back here and put our back. Back could be here. This leg could be this way. And instead of having this hand here, I want this hand like over here. And I want this sword creating some coverage from this hand while you step. So I think that this is, there's a couple ways to address this. Like it looks like Ram is like me. It is kind of a heavier, stocky dude. You can either just strengthen your quadriceps with things like, you can do like leg press and stuff. I feel like the leg extension machine is really good for this specifically. And then doing like lots of lunges, because it looks like this back leg is not very flexible either. So we kind of, if you look at his hips, right, his hips are kind of like, they're only really hitting 45. We want to be able to get these guys like, these hips like kind of closer to 90. So that's just something that I would target. It can be really tough to go put in time like strength training and doing flexibility work, but I think it is very important for like health and safety, and also making sure that you're able to keep both hands in play the entire time, because this guy's just back here. So tying on to that, if you know someone is going to do this, there's a good quote that I like that's never interrupt your opponent while they're making a mistake, right? So we've seen this a couple of times now. Telfair, what you could have done to make this a little safer for yourself is just hang back a little bit further, try to get him to drive forward. See, there's another example of it where he kind of came forward like that. It's like a second one. I think we went back. It's after this. That was the first one. So that happened again, right? I think if you stay a little bit further back and just swat that out, that's all you need to do. Like, you didn't need to come in there, right? You just wait. You can wait for that lunge fault to happen and then kind of pick them apart from there. This is Brawn and Patches. That's a lot. I like the double blade beat is such a fuck you. I like that. I like that. That's going in my repertoire of fussiness. It's just like both swords like, get that shit out of here. Okay. Let's see what happened here. It looked like Patches got shot one on Braun's left forearm, and then I think he blocked shot two, so he was dead after that. I think what made this work. I think Patches did some good lateral movement here, because you can see how he didn't come straight in. He went out and around. I think that was really good, and I think that's probably what got him here. It's definitely playing to that strong side, but his strong side is very strong. So that's the only one we're getting out of that. We got Telfair versus Patches. Oh, just to go back, that example in that last fight was a great example where he moved out this way. Whoops, that's backwards. Where he moved out this way. That was a great example of isolating one hand and attacking it, right? Because he took Braun's right hand completely out of play by moving to his own right and then kind of overwhelming him with his right hand. So just to see that again, like this is, and you can see Patch's sword back here. You can see that clogging the lane of Braun's right-handed sword. So he basically said, I'm going to get as close as I can as a 2-on-1 on this hand using lateral movement, and that was executed perfectly. I think Patches dodges the blade beat with his right sword that opens the shot. Nice. Yeah, that's an interesting counter to blade beats that I haven't really thought about, where if you know people are going to do it, you just pull your sword out of the way and they're the one. Because when you blade beat, you're expecting to get some force back for your investment to regain control of your sword. And you can't just like tap it lightly out of the way, right? So that's a good counterplay to someone who's good at blade beat. I need to keep that in mind, because I think that's going to be a more common strategy from going here forward. I think blade beats weren't super common in my era, but people here are doing it quite a bit. So it's definitely, I think it would kill me, and it would definitely surprise me, especially the double blade beat. I'd probably like get scared and go hang out in my car, look at pictures of my dog to calm down. All right, Telfair versus Patches. All right. Say basic stuff. Oh, great! The great lateral drive on that. I feel like we got the lateral movement coming in when the arm is gone, though, right? Like, I think if you started with that was another perfect example. Not the car retreat. It's the car retreat, man. My dog is my emotional support boy. He's a nice lad. I think if you started with that lateral drive, it looks like it won out here for you. I feel like you did exactly the right approach for Florentine, but you only did it when you had single sword left. So I might start with that a little bit earlier. I feel like the curse of the second sword got rid of that wide stance, and then you were back to your normal stance, and then I can fly, and just came around and clubbed on him. Empty spew. All right. Okay, I mean, that works. That works. It just seemed kind of like a surprisingly slow stab, but Patches didn't react to it, so. Okay. Sometimes that works. Yeah, great lateral drive there. That was good. Misstep his win. Oh, okay, okay. Maybe it felt slower because it had like some follow through when it missed. That makes sense. Let's go back. I think you've got... So, I like this combo a lot, right? Where you throw a right-handed cross, and it's like a horizontal chop, and then you throw left-handed with a hip wrap. I think that was really good. The horizontal cross kind of stuffs both swords for a moment, and then interacting with their defense tends to, people think like, oh, okay, I got to block, I'm not going to move my hand, and that kind of opens the lane for your left hand that to come in. But I think what I'm seeing here is it looks like you throw that flat cross and you wait a little bit to react to see what he's doing, and then you step in and hit him in the hip. I think if that wasn't an intentional combo, it should be. And I think that you should not wait to react to see what he does. I think that you should just let it rip. I think you should go flat cross with a step in, hip wrap with a step in. It's a great combo. You can exit like laterally in the direction of the hip that you throw against if you need to exit. Like, that's fine. But I think you don't want to charge in and stay close on him and then react to what he's going to do. I think you should just throw that as a 1-2 and then step out. So let's see if I'm right. It's a combo stutter, isn't on purpose. Okay, yeah. As a combo, it's great. It's like pop, pop. It's definitely one of those situations where it is okay to cross. I think my instinct was to be like, are you crossing with Florentine? But then I thought about the combo a little bit. I was like, no, this is really smart. But I think that the reason that you need to let it rip super fast is the cross can leave you a little bit like out of position, and it can hit the arm as it's hanging over if you wait too long. So just pop, pop, I think, and then getting your hands back up, exiting stage left would be great. I think that's like would be an okay thing to do in sword and board, where you can kind of press on people and wait and react to see what they do. At Florentine, you just don't have enough defensive coverage. I probably wouldn't do that way. It's like throw your one, get in, throw your 1-2, get out. Outside sensitization. That was great. That was great. You're like, it's going to be an outside wrap, and then you wrapped him with the left hand. Perfect. Perfect. All right, that was great. Great last round. Especially like with the left hand doing work. That's good stuff, man. All right, my friends. Much love, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.